In today's episode, Jen asks, how often do you feel like ads should be changed out and freshened up? Well, I don't feel anything. Not in general. I just mean when it comes to decisions like this about your marketing, you shouldn't be relying on your feelings because your feelings, frankly, are a little on the biased side. You may have seen the same ad over and over again, or you may be looking at the same website design over and over again, and you get tired of it, but you are not your audience. And that's an important part to remember here is you are not your audience. What you do in your marketing, probably, unless you're very much in the market for what your company sells, are not the customer. And so your feelings about things like advertising really should be put to the side and focus on the data. The data will tell you what's going on, whether your ads are working, whether your ads are not working. And for this particular question, there is a very specific technique that I recommend that can help you make the determination about when it's time for a change. The technique name is something called a moving average change indicator. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It tells you if something's changing when you look at your moving averages. So let's look at a practical example of this. We're going to flip this around here. What I have here is basic ad data, right? You have the date of the ads and you have the ad performance. It could be clicks, could be conversions, could be any number you want. And this is an important point. When you're looking at something like this, this can apply to pretty much any kind of marketing data: Facebook ads, Google ads, email marketing, list performance. It can look at website traffic. Whatever it is, it can help you understand sort of the diminishing returns. So the first thing you want to do when you're looking at any kind of data set like this is just to get a sense of what does the data tell us. I'm going to do a very quick chart here. And we're using Google Sheets, but obviously you can use the tool of your choice. And already we can see, without doing any substantial analysis, that there is a general down and to the right line, right? We can tell that things are not going well. Now, here's the catch. When it comes to ads, this particular look is fine in retrospective, but if you started your ads at the beginning of the month, wouldn't it have been nice to know that your ads performance was not great before you got to the end of the month and spent all that money and didn't get the results? So how do we do this? We're going to do what's called, again, a moving average change indicator. So let's make a new column here called moving average. And a moving average is nothing more than exactly what it sounds like. It's a window of time. Let's do this, where we take the average of the previous 7 days. And why is this important? Well, as you just saw from the chart earlier, there's a lot of ups and downs in this overall series. Let's go ahead and chart this now. And you can see, but by using a moving average, we smooth out a lot of those ups and downs. You get a much closer look at what's actually happening with a 7-day lag. And again, you can choose any window you like. I typically like 7 days because for a lot of businesses, and in my business in particular, Trust Insights, we're a B2B company. And so weekends will always throw off a shorter window moving average than 7 days, just because people do less stuff on the weekends. So here we see the moving average and its change over time. Now, what we really want to do is next, we're going to create a moving average change indicator. And this one's a real simple calculation. It's actually the same formula as ROI. New minus old divided by old. So in this case, we're going to take the new, which is the second in the series, minus the old, which is the first in the series, divided by the old. And drag that down. And now let's go ahead and get rid of this and just chart these two columns. What we see here is the zero line, which tells us when our rate of change has gone into negative territory, and then everything below this. Now, what does this tell us? What is this telling us? Well, it's telling us that the moment our indicator goes below zero in this thing, it means our ads have really stopped being effective. And the longer it stays under zero, the worse the performance is, right? The worse the performance has gotten. By having this indicator in place, you could have you could be monitoring for changes in your ad performance and know that, yeah, you've hit diminishing returns. You hit diminishing returns pretty early on, actually. And in this analysis, then, you can see there's not a whole lot that's going on that's good. This is how you tell that you hit diminishing returns. Once this indicator goes below 0, and I'd say stays there for maybe 2 or 3 days, it's time to change your ads. Time to freshen them up. Ideally, what you're doing is you're doing this sort of computation or calculation on a bunch of different ads, and that as an individual ad drops below this line, you can say, okay, it's time to retire you. It's time to retire you. You're still going well. You're still going well. You're still showing growth, and so on and so forth. And you can cherry pick the ads that are just have run their course. They're out and done. Now, how do you implement this practically? If you'd have no other technical capabilities, then maybe you download your ads data once a week, say Friday afternoons, and you do exactly what we did here and just run those computations, and then you change up the ads and freshen them up and get them ready to go for Monday morning if you don't run them on the weekends, or if you do, depending on your business cycle, change the ads out whenever your slowest day typically is. If you have more technical capabilities, what we just did is relatively straightforward to put into a piece of software that you write, something like in Python or R, that can connect to your different ad systems, download that data, and then run those computations. That's a more sophisticated way of doing this. Maybe even it sends you an email saying like, hey, ad 23 has hit diminishing returns. It's time to retire it. That would be the ideal solution, so you don't have to manually do this every Friday afternoon. And it just alerts you, hey, something's going on with this ad, or this ad's just lost steam. And likewise, you could even configure it to say like, hey, this ad's picking up unusually. Maybe add some more budget to it. Maybe do something else that is can reinforce it. Maybe make some copies of it and try some variations. You would think that ad systems would have this technology built in, but they don't really. I can't think of any vendor that includes this level of analysis. And so it's really important to be doing it on your own, however you need to, whether it's manually or it's in a more sophisticated way of doing it. But this will get you improved return on investment of your ads substantially over time, because, again, once an ad's run its course, you take it down. And more importantly, to the original question, just because you're tired of it doesn't mean it needs to be changed, right? If the performance data is still great, you leave it alone. You let it do its thing until it does start showing diminishing returns. And ideally, you're running many variations and tests so that at any given time, you're pruning off those ads that are hitting diminishing returns, and you're putting up new ones to see how they perform, and see how they run. But it's a really good question. Avoid using your feelings to make decisions about when to change things. It's not a good indicator. The data is a much better indicator. If you have follow-up questions, leave them in the comments box below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and the newsletter. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Want help solving your company's data analytics and digital marketing problems? Visit trustinsights.ai today and let us know how we can help you.